Hi friends, welcome
Good
back.
morning.
How was your week? Let us know.
How was your
week?
Jinx, you owe me Coke. How was your week?
It's good. It was actually okay. So we went thrifting midweek and it was bananas good, but I'll say more about that in a minute. But yeah, otherwise the rest of the week was good too. How was yours?
It's been alright. It was a rough start, but it's been alright.
I think my brain's blacking out the first half of the week. It's true. Well, we're glad you're here today. Say hello in the comments and maybe let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to know who we're having coffee with. And if you don't know who we are the Rustic Girls. We are a mother-daughter duo who has a passion for creating beautiful homes, living intentional lives, and pursuing creative dreams. And we want to encourage and empower other women. So I am Katie, the daughter of the mother-daughter duo.
And I am Patty, the mother of the mother-daughter duo.
So welcome in, welcome in. Today we want to talk about why we decorate our homes slowly. And no, it doesn't mean we put up our art like sloths. It means we're thoughtful and we don't rush it. And so I think that in the effort to have a beautiful home and in the desire to create, which is a great desire, to create a welcoming and inviting space, it can lead to overconsumption a lot of just going to, whatever your big retailer is or Amazon because it's convenient, and shipping all to your door. But for us, what we found is that just doesn't do it for us.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of want to dive into why. And I'm curious, are you an eager beaver and you just want to get it done now and have it done? Or do you like to decorate slowly as well? And so I was thinking about, with this topic, just the concept of having the beautiful home. And for me, it's something I've wanted for a long time. Wanted a home for a long time. I finally had a home. It's a very old home. It's a very blemish-filled home. And I go to my friends' houses and they're perfect and beautiful. But some of those friends are like late 40s, well established, and they've also lived there for 10 plus years. So they've had all this time to decorate. And so I can't say whether or not they ran out and bought everything or they curated everything. But it was hard at first because I wanted to have that like beautiful home to host people and invite people in. And so I totally get the desire and the temptation to want to just like run out and buy like things that look vintage but aren't. But I hold on to, what we learned with the business is you can feel the difference. And when you touch something that looks old, but then as soon as you touch it, you're like, no, that's mass produced, versus something that's really old. And I don't know, there's a warmth to it.
I'm sorry. My allergies are so bad. And I'm trying to slowly breathe through. I'm not going to sneeze. I'm not going to sneeze.
I'm not going to sneeze.
Yeah, they just kicked up really bad since yesterday.
Pollen must be high. But perfect example, I almost gave up about a month ago. I decided I'd been taking baths because, as you know, I recently redid my bathroom and my tub's not gross anymore. So I actually really like taking baths. And every night that I do it, I have to haul my beautiful timer candles, which are the win, into the bathroom so I can have the candlelight bath. And I thought, it'd be really nice if I had some kind of wall sconces to put on one of the walls that I could just keep them in there, and then I just have to push the remote and they light up and it's just perfect. And so I started looking, when we'd go out thrifting and yard sales and even antique stores, and I wasn't seeing nothing. And so this last week I looked on the Big A and found a couple options and almost pulled the trigger, but they were like $50-$60 for two. And so I was like, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna see if I can find more. And then on our amazing thrifting day, which I forgot to tell them about, on our amazing thrifting day this week, We walked into one of them, and I was telling Patty here that I was like, I'm looking for this thing. I'm about to give up. I kind of showed her what I had on Amazon. I'm like, just keep your eyes peeled if you see it, and I don't. And I kid you not, it was 3 aisles later, I found them. I'm going to hold up one for you. And you're not going to be able to hardly see it, but it's just scrolly metalwork. Yeah, I know, right? Thank you. With a nice little plate. Oh, there you are, right in front of my white face. To build a candle on. And I haven't decided if I want to do like rub and buff gold or even spray paint them gold, or if I'm going to leave them this color, because there's a lot of gold in the bathroom. And so in some ways I think it might be too much, but then in some ways I think the black might stand out too harshly. Anyway, I'm sitting with that. But I found these, and they were like $8.98 each. So, you know, less than half, except purple tags were 75% off that day. And these happen to be purple tags. So praise the Lord, I got 2 of them for about $5. What I was considering getting on Amazon for $60. And it's just, to me, such a reminder to myself as much as anyone else. Slow down. Like, your money will go so much farther, and you're going to have something unique. Like, these are heavy metal, and they're not vintage. They're not old by any means, but they're nice heavy metal. But more importantly, I paid way less, and it's not something everyone has. It's something I got, and I have a fun story to go with it. Like, I have a memory of going thrifting with my mom, and you know, and then specifically, you know, to remind me of thrifting with my mom, but specifically that story of the crazy good deal I got. So, yeah, I just think there's so much value in just taking your time and finding the special pieces that speak to you, that tell your story. They may not all be vintage, because no one's home is entirely vintage. Like these, they're newer, but they're more personal.
Well, and I think one of the magical things that happens too when you slow down and you have an idea in your mind what you're looking for, and sometimes the unexpected finds you, and maybe you had this in mind, and maybe you find it like you did here is like almost identical to what you wanted, or maybe you see something else that you wouldn't have thought of.
You're like,
and you're like, wait, that would work even better. I like that even better. And so I think, you know, there's joy in the journey of exploring and finding, you know, sitting and scrolling and looking that direction. It's like, you know, there's a time and place for that when you need something specific. But I think for decor, it's a great way to go, is to find those pieces that speak to you out in the wild.
Yeah, I think it saves your budget, which is huge. Because you, generally speaking, you're not paying nearly what, like if you do it at yard sales and thrift stores, antique stores, you might pay, you know, a little more depending on if it's a genuine, you know, if it's a real deal antique, you might pay a chunk of money for it, but it's super special and it's worth that chunk of money. But a lot of times you're going to pay way less than what somebody else paid at the store for it. You know, it's something maybe their grandma had, even, you know, for the antique stuff. It's like you can get old stuff for cheap because there are people who just don't know the value, or they don't see the value that you see in it, because one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Well, and I think you touched on it too with now you have a cool story to tell. And what do we talk about all the time is your home being your story and full of stories. And when you have someone, whether it be just you looking at it and that story comes to mind, you know, in your own memories, or somebody comes over and they say, oh, I love this. Well, yeah. How many times do we say, oh, I got it on Amazon. I got it on Amazon. And it's like, and that's the end of the conversation. Everybody knows.
Because there's nothing talking about. Yep, we all get stuff.
But you say, oh, well, let me tell you. Then you've got an engaging conversation to have with someone. So I think that's just a cooler, you know.
I think that the other thing it kind of prevents is the too perfect home. The magazine ready. Back in the day when they did magazines, and you'd see the homes photographed that were just stunning, but you couldn't imagine living there.
Right.
You couldn't even imagine visiting, right? It wouldn't feel comfortable. And I think that when you buy everything and you just like try to create a picture perfect home, it can create a home that's a little bit cold,
Sterile.
a little bit sterile, a little too perfect. But when you're thrifting things and you're picking up things secondhand, they're unique, and a lot of them sometimes they're beat up a little bit and they're a little different and it's a little bit quirky. And I think that bit of personality makes it approachable and relatable, and so it leads to your home feeling warmer. I'm saying you can't have a warm home by buying all your stuff at wherever, but like it's a lot easier to not feel cold in your home.
Right. Well, and I think too, especially when you find, you spend $60 on something, it's like I don't know. I think you can be a lot more stressed over something happening to them or going wrong with them. And it's like, yes, if those fell down and I'm not sure how
Broke
they would.
something else.
You'd be sad because, I can't use it now because
Right.
I got a really good deal. But it's a different, I don't know.
Different. If I spent, like you said.
And yeah. So,
Well, and I think too, I mean, even with vintage, they're still sad, which I think is a really important
yes, for sure.
perspective to have as a mom, is that nothing lasts forever. Although I've had many a times said to you, I don't know how things that survived her childhood, they survived my childhood, and they're not surviving my kids' childhood. And I don't get it. But of all the things that survived, that have made it through the test of time, like there's a dozen more that broke, more than that, And so as much as it's sad when, I had a really cool, it was a record in like a tube. Remember that? We got it in like Ohio.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's like like a kaleidoscope tube, but much shorter. And
They're for the old players.
yeah,
I think
so
what
it's
they're
like
called.
a record, and it's like a circle. Anyway, my 3-year-old, who's now almost 13, who delightfully informed us that in 5 years she would be an adult. She did that the other night. She was like, in 5 years, I'm going to be over 18. I was like, I don't want to hear it. But anyway, she was 3 at the time, and she knocked it off a ledge or a shelf or something, and it broke. Which is such a bummer, because that's such a cool piece of history. But, like, what's more important, the piece of history or my kid? And I think, that's just something you have to always keep in mind when you're creating your beautiful home, is that it's not so beautiful or perfect that people can't live there without fear of getting in trouble. Which helps, like she said, when you're doing secondhand, you're spending less, and a lot of times that makes it a little bit easier of a bitter pill to swallow. A little smaller of a bitter pill, put it that way.
Yeah, easier in some ways, but harder in others because it was a unique item. You can't just turn around and reorder.
Yes.
So it's a double-edged sword.
It's a double edge. But I do enjoy. I was looking while we talk. I can see in here I have this bell. I don't even.
This was the bell that your grandma used to clang, 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 clang to call your dad and his brothers home for dinner, because that was in the day when, kids just ran feral. And
What do they call those kids? Latchkey?
Well, yeah, that's more applying to latchkey because it was the first generation that they came home to an empty house. They usually had a key
okay.
to let themselves into an empty house.
Boomers. Let's be honest, it's the boomers.
No, boomers are before.
No, you're after boomer.
Gen X.
Gen X. I don't know.
But it was definitely the
You ran around.
Yeah.
We were talking about the other day. You said that's the last generation that wasn't
that their childhood wasn't
managed.
Yeah.
You know, with all the activities and all the things. And there's a lot of just like, you know, you said it was like you did your school, you came home and did maybe a couple things, and then you were free until dinner. And then after that, you were free a little bit more.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't know this was a piece of family history, but
Yeah.
cool old looking bell, and turns out to have family history, but cool old looking bell. And it's not perfect. It's got paint drips and a little bit of rust, and this looks like duct tape and ribbon.
So the duct tape, so when it was given to me, it had the duct tape. It used to have like I think a wood handle, and it might have, I don't know if it hung or if she just clanged it, but I think they wrapped it in duct tape for the because it's like iron or whatever. It's like heavy metal, and then, you know, for
Duct
me,
tape's ugly.
I just like wrapped it in burlap to kind of dress that up a little bit.
And it works. I love it. It's old and rustic and it has character. And so I think, you know, just little things. I have a little donkey here, and it has so much personality and uniqueness to it because it wasn't something that, you know, there's 900,000 of them sitting on a shelf in the Magnolia section at the Big T. Not that I don't love some of their stuff. It's beautiful. But, you know, when we visited and we went in their shop, it was a lot of like, you touch it and just, you knew, like, this isn't old. And I don't know, I just come back to, I think old things have more to them. They just warm up a space, their memories. I'm like, if these things could talk, the stories they could tell. So, you know, I think it avoids, you know, overconsumption. And I think it helps avoid your home feeling too cold. And, you know, we already kind of touched on this kind of throughout the conversation, but it's more you. Instead of it being a reflection of whatever the trend is, that in, you know, 2 years, 3 years is not a trend anymore. It's a reflection of the things that you enjoy, the memories you've made, the journeys you went on, your family heritage, your life story. I mean, just when you curate and you get things and it's like, why did it appeal to you? Like, what part of your story is this reflecting? I think it just leads to a home that's very you, and that's a very warm space to live in and to visit. And it doesn't go out of style in 2 years. So you're not trying to like redecorate your house because it's not trendy anymore. It's not beautiful anymore, because beauty is perspective. It's so not situational, what's it called, it's perception, right? It's everyone's standard of beauty is a little bit different. And so finding the one that speaks to you, I think, is what matters most. I want to, before I forget, talk about my amazing thrifting day, because it was so good, guys. So we went out and we get out the door and I can't find my sunglasses anywhere, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have the worst headache because I'm trying to drive down the road, very sensitive to light. And so our first stop, there's 2 thrift stores side by side, and not the first one, but the second one had some sunglasses, and I found a pair I kind of liked, and they were purple tag, and it was that store. Well, it was a different one of that store, and so it was like 90 cents. And then, I mean, we found just some really cute outfits for the girls and ourselves, and some other like vintagey things we enjoyed. And then we went to another one of that store. That's where I found the cool vintage things. And I was going to bring them out to show you maybe next week. I found these really cool, I think they're mid-century. I think they're MCM era. But they're like these burnt orangey containers about that big.
Oh, yeah.
And they stack, and then it's got this really cool lid on top. And it says candy and pretzels. And I'm like, that's so perfect for a game night. After everyone's eating, we're in the middle of a game, I can bring that out and open it up. It's just something a little salty, a little sweet. And they were $10, and they were taped together. And I was really weighing it, but I just found these that were like 1,000% off. And so I thought about it.
The girl math.
The girl math said that meant that this thing was actually free. I was actually still making money, so we were good to go. So I went over and I was like, if it looks food safe. So I like carefully pulled the tape back and opened it. It's enamelware on the inside that's in amazing shape. So I got that. And that was so exciting.
Well, and one thing that you could do if you did find something like that you didn't feel confident is you could line it with like parchment paper or a coffee filter, just to have like that buffer
Extra
between.
layer.
Yeah,
That's true. That's a good
but
point.
yeah, I know, and it's just interesting to me because I thought they were cool. Like, I mean, I wouldn't get them, but I recognize how kind of cool they were. But I was fixated on that. Like, I was 99% sure that there was more, that it was a whole stacker. Because I feel like I've seen them like in old movies or in old TV shows where they've had these little stacker. And it just struck me that there would be more than two. And so I was like, in my mind, I'm like, well, you really like them, but maybe we should go online and like search.
You can find a full
search,
set.
Vintage, eBay, whatever. See if you can find a whole set. And it opted to get them. And I mean, it took a minute for my brain to wrap around it. And you're like, no, it's perfect. It's a little salty and a little sweet.
Exactly.
That's all we need.
Yeah.
And so I think, again, the application of sometimes less is more, Yeah,
And it speaks to you versus
the
someone else.
whole deal, would have been cool. It probably had, like, who knows what all else on it.
It would be fun to look up and just see.
Yeah.
But it was perfect for me.
But it was perfect for you. Yeah. And so, yeah.
Yeah, so we found that. And then you were trying on some clothes, and so I was just kind of standing there, like, flipping through the t-shirt area. And if you knew my father, you knew that he took us to Hawaii when I was about 10. And ever since then, he loved to wear Hawaiian shirts, and he rocked them. My most recent that I love is less, like, traditionally Hawaiian, but it was like a polo, like a men's, like, polo thing, but it had, like, neon pineapples, and I love that shirt. But yeah, so we're standing there flipping through, and I spot this little number. Ladies, it's nice. It's nice. You can't see the whole thing, but it's really nice. And it was purple tag, so it was like $1. And it's like perfect because it fits now, but I'm on a weight loss journey, and so if I lose more weight, maybe I'll be able to button it up. But either way, I love it. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else we found. I mean, I feel like it was like we brought home a carload of stuff, and we did not spend that much money, which was so fun. But I got a couple new outfits, and which I'm sure you'll see here because I wear all my favorite clothes for you guys. The antique stuff, the sunglasses, a couple gifts. I think that was like my main stuff. Maybe some books. Oh, the last thing. So we have our favorite place called the Grace Place. And it's like antique, or I mean, thrift store meets boutique. It's like, but leaning on the, like, I don't know, depending on what part of the store you're in, it's like sometimes it leans more towards thrift and sometimes it leans more towards
I think it's like a Christian outreach organization.
Yeah, it's like a
that
ministry.
runs it, yeah.
And anyway, it's like our favorite. And we're there, and they have a 2 for $1 book racks. And so I always flip through because love me some books. And I see a title that I recognize, and it looks really familiar. And I'm thinking, when I have a book club with my friend, and I was like, I think that might have been one of the books on her shelf that we were talking, like, these are the ones she wants to read coming up. So if I wanted to pick one of those, then we can do it together. And so I shot her a message. She's like, yep, that's on my shelf. And I was like, sweet. Instead of spending $14 for a book, I spent 50 cents for a book. So it was a very, very fun, very good day of thrifting. So go thrifting, my friends. Grab a friend, grab a mom, and hit thrift stores. You never know what you're going to find. It took me a long time to get over them, actually, because I have a hard thing with things I perceive as dirty. Like, I used to walk in a thrift store and need to take a shower.
And one thing I will say, thrift stores have evolved over the years. They've evolved to, at first when, they started rising to the occasion, if you will, when a lot of pickers were coming and finding things. And so they're like, oh, well, we want to make more money too. So I know some of the like big well-known places now, they have like online stores where they save all their really bougie
and
stuff.
Even things like the Pyrex, the milk glass, the actual vintage is more expensive than
it's like they've figured out, and every now and then things do slide through, depending on your location. Some might be better or worse, but I feel like seeking out those I guess privately owned or run places, I think sometimes you can find better
There's
deals.
opportunity. Yeah.
And you know, you could find some, you know, just because it's something super valuable doesn't make it more cool necessarily, but sometimes you can find some real
It's cool when you do both.
treasures. Yeah. But also, you know, that same big one also, and I have yet to experience this. I want to find one just so I can experience it. They have the
bulk,
the
pay by the pound
what are they?
ones.
Yeah, and they have a name for it. The bins. They call it the bins, and it's I've watched. There's one gal who is she does vintage things, and I've watched her videos where she goes in, so I kind of have a feel for like how they work now. But those can be some real.
You can find good deals. I feel like that's more of the thrift store I struggle with still.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
a little too
through it.
much. Yeah.
Just need it a little more pretty. Yeah. So, anyway, my daughter's screaming, so I think that's our cue. But I hope you guys have a beautiful week. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And let me know, what is the favorite thrifted piece in your home? Because I'd love to hear about it. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Yeah.
Bye, friends.